I respect you for clicking on a video that is this long, and because I respect you, I'm gonna reward you with a fuck ton of value. By the end of this video, you will understand every fucking thing there is to know about color grading. And I know that that's a big claim, but let me tell you why you can trust me. I'm Giuseppe, and I started out as a broke videographer many years ago. Eventually, I started studying color grading and realized I wanted to be a colorist, which is what I am today. A colorist is somebody that gets paid just to do color grading. This is a complete guide. I give you my word as a man that after you watch this video, you will be equipped with every tool you need to color grade every type of clip. Also, top link in the description takes you to my online Color Kings Academy, where other students just like you can learn how to become really fucking good at color grading. Let's go. What are we doing when we color grade a clip? We are changing how bright it looks and how colorful it looks. Now stick with me. Why do people have such a hard time with color grading? There's essentially two reasons. The first one, as I told you, you're not learning from real professionals. Most people, even though they look pro, they're not pro. When you watch my channel, you know that we're working on real clips because these are real projects that I color graded initially for clients of mine. Other people, you may not recognize that they don't even work on real projects. They work on stock clips because they don't have real projects that they work on. Or they nitpick certain clips that they know are already going to look good when they open their DaVinci. The second reason, so first reason, you don't learn from actual people that really know what they're talking about. And the problem with that is when you don't learn from real teachers, they're not going to be able to simplify the concepts enough for you to understand them. Since you are so new to color grading, I can't just tell you go color grade a movie. You're going to freeze, right? You're going to be like, well, Giuseppe, what? What do you want me to do, man? Color grade a movie? What the fuck, you crazy? But if I just say, hey, can you make this single clip brighter? Maybe you can find the button in here that does it. And you might be like, hey, Giuseppe, I did it. Now, color grading is just making it brighter here, making it darker there. Now, add some more contrast, add some saturation, add this color here, subtract this color. Do you see how color grading is just very easy, simple, small steps? That's it. And you don't understand it because nobody has laid out a plan for you, which is what I'm going to do in this video. But just bear with me. I want you to understand that you're now finally safe. Okay, I got you. Don't worry. There's a second reason for why you don't understand color grading. I used to come from a Lightroom background. So before, I was a videographer before, right? And I wanted to become a colorist because I really love the art of color grading because it's beautiful, man. You get to take something like this and you get to make it beautiful. And you change the way it looks and you're like a painter. You get to decide what this looks like. It's fucking gorgeous. And you can work from home. It has a lot of good things, right? Now, before all of that, I was a photographer. I was videographer / photographer. And I used to color grade a lot of pictures on Lightroom. Now, Lightroom has a very interesting interface. Interesting in the sense that it's very simple. It's so straightforward and easy to use that almost anybody can make a semi-good picture using Lightroom. Also, when you work with cameras and when you shoot pictures, cameras usually shoot raw and you have a lot of detail to work with. Now, take that and come to DaVinci. Why is color grading video so hard? Color grading video is so hard. Why is it? Because we have an interface with a lot more tools. And why is it? Why do we need so many tools? Why, Lightroom works just fine? Well, you will understand that videos don't have a lot of data like pictures because most cameras don't shoot raw. Since they don't shoot raw, we need to be very careful with every decision we make because we might break our footage. That's why we have a lot of tools. And every tool is designed to be used in different ways. And this can do this, but it can also do this. And if you do step number 4, it can also do trick number 7. So everything in DaVinci, you can twist and turn however you want it to. And that's the beautiful part about it. I won't go this guide is beginner friendly. I have even more in-depth guides on the channel, or if you just want to go fucking deep, top link in the description takes you to my online Color Kings Academy. So let's talk about nodes. Why do we even need nodes? I'm now going to add some contrast and saturation to this image, but I don't want you to do the things that I'm about to do now. This is just to have a quick thing to show you. When I have nodes like this, they are in what we call a serial order, one after the other. And this is exactly what you would obtain if you used layers on Premiere Pro or Photoshop. The fact is that with nodes, you can use what we call parallel nodes. And if you have ever watched a color grading guide, you have probably seen somebody use this. And at first it looks really complex and you don't understand what's going on, but I'm gonna make things so fucking simple that you laugh like the next time you remember how confusing this used to be. So why do we use parallel nodes? We use parallel nodes because sometimes you're gonna have like, you might want to do something and another thing, not one before the other or one after the other. No, at the same time. When is that going to happen? I'll give you a great example. So let's say that we have a clip. Again, don't do what I'm doing right now. This is just to go really fast. You don't really want to begin like this, but just stick with me. Just watch what I do. I need to explain parallel nodes. I need to convince you that they're actually useful so that you start liking node trees in DaVinci Resolve. Because if you don't think they're useful, you're going to dislike them and you're going to be like me when I first started out. I was just using serial nodes because I was like, fuck parallel nodes, because nobody ever explained to them, never explained them to me properly. So what you want to do is this. So let's say that we have, I want to make this image blue. But now I want to make it so blue, man, that we lose every color, okay? We have almost nothing else right now that isn't blue, okay? Now, let's say that I want to recover, I want the image to be very blue. At the same time, I want the image to have some orange elements into it. Now, one way I can do that is with something called hue versus sat curve. I'll explain everything as we go deeper into the guide. Now, just stick with me. Just watch what I do. If I make a node after this, the node that I've made has already a blue signal. Watch this, like literally go, like watch my screen right now. DaVinci shows this. Do you see how here the image is normal because we get the signal and we transform the image and I gave it contrast and, I gave it contrast and saturation. So the image, we see it like we see it now. So right now we're seeing on this big screen, since I have disabled everything after, and everything after I mean the blue node, we see the image with contrast and saturation. If I also disable this, every node becomes now lifeless like this picture, right? Because we see a log. When I enable this, this changes the signal. It's like adding a sauce on top of the signal, right? And now, from now on, the signal that travels from this node has that onto it. Like it will always have it, okay? So when I do this for this node as well, you can see that what comes after, so what comes before, you can see it's still normal because the signal doesn't go both ways. It just flows forward, right? It makes so much sense, okay? So when you apply this, what goes after it has it baked in. Nothing is actually happening here, but this is the result of 1 + 1 and you get 2, right? Now, what happens if on this node that is already getting a blue image, basically, what happens if I try to get some orange or some red out of it? Nothing. Why is nothing happening? Look at this. This tool, the hue versus sat, is giving me a reading. It's telling me, Giuseppe, we have data, this like these spikes that you see, this is the data that we have in the picture. It's telling me what colors we have in here. It tells me, Giuseppe, you have a lot of blue and nothing else. We have a flat image for every other color. What does it mean? It means that in this node, we're not getting any red signal. So when I go tell DaVinci, hey bro, can you pop out some red for me? He's gonna be like, bro, we have no more red because you fucking deleted all the red that we had. And so we run into a problem. Do you see how serial nodes, or what would be a layer on Premiere Pro or Photoshop, is already gonna give us problems? Because this is what happens with layers. You have one thing after the other. So that's why we need nodes. Because why? Because with nodes, we can do parallel node trees. So what we would do in this case is go back here. Instead of have a serial node like this, I'll go delete it. We have this node. Instead of hitting, so Alt-S for a serial one, we go Alt-P. So instead of Alt-S for serial, we go Alt-P for parallel. And DaVinci creates two things now. A node and this little thing right here. This doesn't actually do anything. You don't need to worry about it. Just pretend that it is not even there. We just worry about the node. And as you can see, we are now having, like, we have two cables. Like the cable splits and then it goes right back into one again. So in this way, like, do you see how this image now still has the old signal without the blue that we applied? And then they get mixed right here in the layer mixer. Do you see? It's so simple. People overcomplicate this so much, man. Look at this. So since in this node, look at the reading they give me. Look at the reading they give me. In this node right here, if we go after what's happening, so this node still sees the image before what we applied, because this is a reading that happens before we give it the blue. Let's look at this one. So this is after everything. You see how there's no blue? But if I go in, because we are receiving the signal, which right now is still all blue. If we go back here, do you see how we have so much information? Because in this node, nothing has happened yet. Now you might be wondering, so if you come from layers, like you might be wondering, is anything happening? Like, is the top one more powerful than the bottom one? No, they just get mixed up. So they have like the same power, essentially. It's just 50-50. Okay, so don't worry about which one is on top. Like, it's purely visual. Like, you can have them like this. You can have this arrow go this and this go this. Nothing changes. Okay, it's purely visual. And so what we do right now is this. For the sake of demonstration, I can select my red right here. And as you can see, something starts to come out. I can do the same thing for yellow. As you can see, we have a lot of data to play with. If I give it saturation now, as you can see, the image is starting to blow up, but we can certainly have something come out of it. So this is why we use parallel nodes, and this is why this approach is better for color grading. Apart from parallel nodes, we have other type of nodes. Okay, we have layer nodes, which are very similar, but I won't explain them in this guide, because myself, I that work with color grading, like I do color grading as my job, I almost never use them, and we would just waste time on something you're not gonna use really. So now that we understand nodes and we like them, let's begin. So what's the first thing you should do? Most people on YouTube, so if you tried to learn color grading a few years ago, what did people say? Well, people told you to work with log, I hope, or maybe they told you to work with HLG. I don't like HLG. So let's put things clearly. You should always shoot log. When I was a videographer, I started with a Sony Alpha 6400. And that camera could shoot S-Log3, but it couldn't shoot 10-bit log. It was 8-bit. If you don't know what that means, it means that it was shit at gathering colors. So when you tried to color grade it, it would just start to look weird. But nonetheless, I became a fucking beast at color grading that camera. I was really amazing. So what I want you to do, if people have told you use HLG, if people have told you don't use log if you don't have 10-bit or 12-bit, if people have told you all these lies, take it from somebody that works with this stuff. You can abso-fucking-lutely color grade 8-bit log. You can do that. Don't be scared of it. I tell this to my students every time. Let's say that you shot log and that we are now on DaVinci. You have your clip and you want to know how to work on it and what to do now that you have a log clip. So the first thing that we need to do is convert the clip. You've seen that I have done this. I make a node, which is kind of like a layer, I've told you. I make the node and I give it contrast and saturation. And if you tried to learn color grading a few years ago, people told you exactly this, especially people in Premiere. Everybody used to say before learning anything better that you could, just give the image some contrast and saturation and that was it. This is actually very wrong. What you want to do is this. When you record the log, the image is kind of like encoding. Let's say the camera is encrypting the data in a flat space. Okay, let's call it that. It's very simple. I'm just using these terms to make you understand. When you come here, you want to decrypt your data so that it looks normal. This process is called normalizing. Duh. And there's a very specific process that we follow to do this normalizing action on our clip. What we do is this. We come on Resolve and we say, bro, I need to normalize. And to do that, we make a node. So I make a new node with Alt-S. This makes a new node. And we open this right here. This is called Effects. This is the Effects tab. Right here, you have a lot of tools. These are similar to the tools that we have down here, but they are, see them like plugins. They do things a little more specific. We need to search a specific tool. Don't get scared because we have a lot of them. We're actually going to use just a few of them. We need to search for a tool. It's very simple. Just follow me. I do this for every project. You search for color. And when you search for color, you also search for space if you don't find it soon enough. And you have it right here, Resolve FX Color Space Transform. This is the tool that we want to use. In the community, we call this the CST. This is the best way to normalize your clips. So what do? We have a node. We have search for this. We hold and drag this to our new node. Do you see how simple it is? Bro, it's just drag and drop. We're fucking playing a video game right here. right now we've got to tell DaVinci. So DaVinci's like, hey, bro, so what do you need? What do you want me to normalize? And we need to tell DaVinci, hey, DaVinci, I shot this with my Sony. I want it to look normal. So how do we do that? We go right here where it says color space transform. So this is our plugin tab. So if you close the effects tab, you're not going to see the plugin. Like the plugin doesn't appear anywhere. This is not the plugin. Okay, these are actions that we can do in the node, but we want to just use the plugin right now. So you got to reopen the effects tab. And you are right now in the settings tab for the plugin. If you go back to library, you can select a different plugin for this node. Okay, so just stick to the settings tab. So we need to say input color space is basically like the way the colors were encrypted by the camera, let's say. So how the camera viewed color. And you need to select, like in this section, you need to say, DaVinci, I use the color space of my Sony. In this case, Sony S-Gamut 3 Cine. If you don't know what you shot this with, if you shoot log on a Sony, it's usually Sony S-Gamut 3 Cine and Sony S-Log 3 right here. And you can see that DaVinci is already doing some magic. Then you say, DaVinci, I want you to normalize this. And to get a normalized clip, you always like follow this blindly, turn your brain off, just listen to me. You have to always say Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4. You might have already heard this and you might be wondering like, Giuseppe, why do we actually do this? And how do we decide? Like, what about Gamma 2.6, 2.5, 2.2? Rec 709 is basically the colors that every screen can display. You're never going to go wrong with it. So if I select another one, colors start to get a little like, yeah, do you see how they start to get a little different? Nothing gets really interpreted properly. Rec 709 is the standard, okay? If you watch Rec 2020, this is for HDR. Just listen to me. Output gamma is basically how the brightness and contrast gets interpreted by the software. So how it gets normalized. Because right now we're handling light and color in two separate ways. When you say output gamma 2.4, you are going with the TV standard. YouTube supports this. TVs support this. Everything supports gamma 2.4. So if you want what you're grading right now to be viewed properly on every display and to be coherent everywhere, you want it to be converted in gamma 2.4. Sometimes I'll drop this gem right here. Sometimes you might want gamma 2.2. But that is for another guide. I don't want to complicate things for you right now. Just follow me, Gamma 2.4 Rec 709. And right here you have your S-Log 3, S-Gamut 3 Cine. If you shoot log from a Sony or whatever log you shoot with your camera, just go check that out in your camera settings. Now, I will add something more to this. So as you can see, this changed already. Now, there's a better workflow. So in the beginning stages, a lot of people actually told you to just do this, and you leave this at the end. You forget about it. You do your work like you pretend it doesn't even exist because you don't care about it anymore, and that's it. There's a better workflow. So we can tell DaVinci, hey DaVinci, don't normalize the clip just yet. Take my clip and put it in a space, in a working space, in a working environment where it's easier for me to do color grading, so that we not only work harder, but we work smarter. The way you do that is this. We're going to need a second node, and we're going to need another color space transform. Now, the first color space transform stays at the beginning because we take the signal and we already interpret everything so that nothing stays encrypted. Do you understand me? So we want to take this color space transform and we want the signal in between these two to behave to be in our working environment. What is that working environment? We just need to change, it's very simple. We just need to change output color space and output gamma from Rec 709 Gamma 2.4 to something else, which I'm going to walk you through right now. The one I prefer is this, very simple. It's called DaVinci White Gamut for output color space, and output gamma is DaVinci Intermediate. As you can see, it looks flat again. If I disable this node, it's very similar to what we had before. We go to the other CST and we say, DaVinci, you remember that we're working in DaVinci White Gamut and DaVinci Color Space? Yeah, DaVinci Intermediate, sorry. Yeah, okay, now take those two and normalize them. So do you see, we took the log from a camera, converted it to DaVinci Working Space, and then we normalize it. And you might be asking, okay, Giuseppe, but isn't this just the same thing with extra steps? No, I'll explain to you briefly. So let's convert it properly. Okay, so what is changing? Why is it so powerful? Because when we use this method, there's going to be a couple of tools, and now I'm going to show them to you, that behave just as if we were changing our camera settings. Have you ever wanted to, after you shoot a clip, change your camera ISO? Well, if you don't shoot RAW, usually you can't do that. How do you do, like, there's no, if I go here, there's a camera raw settings. I can't change tint, color temperature, exposure. I can't change anything really. You're kind of stuck with it. You have to guess what it would look like. Well, not anymore. When you use this workflow, there's going to be a couple of tools that in DaVinci, automatically, you don't have to do anything, can allow you to change what would have been your camera settings. So let's begin with grading. The first thing I always do when I color grade, do you remember we do light and color? So we want to handle first the light, so how bright the image looks, and then how colorful it is. So the first thing you can always do, always follow these steps. They're never gonna make things complex for you. The first thing you do is this. So after the first CST, we're gonna work between those two CSTs, right? After the first CST, you make a new serial node. Quick quiz. Why do we make a serial node here and not a parallel node? Because we do not want to work on the signal in log space. We want to work on the signal that is already being converted to the working space. So delete this and make a serial node, okay? Do you see how there's a logic behind what we're doing? Now, you make this node and you give it a name. So I usually give a name to these ones as well. CST and CST, which is short for color space transform. And there's not a single reason for why we do this. The only reason you name nodes is that when you go back and you want to change something, or you're reviewing your grade, you want to change something to it, as I said, you need to know what you did in every node. So you name them to remind yourself. Like, the name doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't have any properties, okay? You can name it poop and it's going to work the same way, basically. So I always name this node EXP, which stands for exposure. In this node, I always change my exposure. Now, if you have watched a couple of YouTube color grading tutorials, you have probably seen that people change exposure this way. They usually use the primaries color wheels. Most people always call this Pri, and it stands for primaries. I hate that advice. Please follow my advice. I have tried everything you've tried. Do you understand that I do color grading for a living? So I needed to fucking watch every YouTube tutorial to become the best colorist I could ever be, right? So trust me when I say this works and this doesn't work, because I test them with my clients. Like, my work literally depends on this. What you do is this: EXP, to remind yourself that you're just changing exposure. Don't ever do this. I know that this looks like we just changed how bright the image looks, but this is not right. If you actually change your camera ISO, shutter speed, or aperture, you wouldn't actually be seeing this. This wouldn't be right. The image would be, I don't know, maybe more like this, so bright in this way, or maybe it would be, I don't know, different. So what you want to do is you want to have a photometrically accurate tool that really displays what your image from your camera would look like if it was one stop overexposed or underexposed. The way you do that is this. Instead of beginning here with the primaries color wheels, when you're in this node, you go to the HDR color wheels, okay? They are very similar. A few buttons change. They do the same fucking thing, but better for what we need. The only one you're gonna need, now don't worry about all these buttons and all the things that they can do. Don't worry about them, okay? It's very fucking simple. I told you, you can trust me, it's very simple. You just look at the global color wheel right here. When you up this, we are upping our image exposure. When you make this go lower, we are lowering exposure. This is the best tool that you can use. There's no, like, trust me right now, this is the most professional way that I use this. This is the most professional way that you can use to change exposure. Nobody's ever gonna come to you and say, oh, you did this incorrectly. No. You have, like, I can assure you, use this technique, you're gonna be golden, okay? You're safe. So we do this because right now when we work between two CSTs, this specific tool right here, the HDR wheels, now are photometrically accurate. This means that they behave just as if you were changing your camera settings. This is great. I'll give you a practical demonstration. So if we change with gain, it's gonna look differently. Some people might have told you that you can change your exposure with offset. Now, offset was a viable alternative many years ago before these were introduced, but offset is not photometrically accurate. I'll give you a demonstration. So I up my image saturation up until this part reaches the top of my scope. I'm not saying that you need to do that every time you grade. It's just an experiment to let you see what happens. Push, 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 push. Okay, let's say that I'm happy with this result. Okay, so see how the bottom reaches 256. Okay, now I'm gonna make a new version. You don't need to do this, I'm just demonstrating something. I go to my HDR wheels and I come up. Okay, we almost reached the top just like before. If I now switch between one and the other, do you see how the result is vastly different? Do you see how this would be way more realistic if you just increased your camera's ISO, or just opened your lens more, or just increased or decreased shutter angle, shutter speed? So this is to say that you can rest assured that this is the best way to change exposure. So what I always do is this. I decide how bright I want my image to look. So let's say that this is a little underexposed. I'm going to be like, okay, I come to my HDR wheels in my exposure node so that I remember what I'm doing. And I up this and I look at the image. I never look at how much I'm increasing it. I'll give you a fucking gem. So if you're a beginner, you probably fall into the trap that if your color grading doesn't look impressive, you think you failed. No, sometimes your image looks so good out of the box that you might not even want to do anything to it. A lot of the times, color grading is very subtle. Like when you work on high-level stuff, I can tell you because I work on high-level stuff. When you work on high-level stuff, people actually do their job properly. Like everything already looks gorgeous. You need to add in just a little touch. So I never look at how much I'm increasing, like 0.64 right here. I don't give a shit. It could look like this. Look, it could look like 0.02, and I would be happy with it. Do you understand it? So I never look at how much I increased or decreased it. I don't care. The client doesn't care. Like the client is never going to go, oh, you increased this by 0.01. No, it's never going to go that way. The client just cares about the final image. So what do you focus on when you increase or decrease exposure? On the final image. So I just look at it. How does it become? Like, do I like it better? Do I like it more when it's like this? Maybe I want it more. And you might be wondering, Giuseppe, how do I understand if the image gets better or worse? That's a beautiful question. Now, nobody on YouTube is going to explain this to you because, as I said, nobody actually does color grading. I have the real fucking solution. So you need to ask yourself, what is your video's purpose? I talk about this more extensively in my Color Kings Academy. Again, top link in the description if you actually want to become a fucking beast at color grading. So you need to understand, why did you shoot this video? Like, is this a music video, documentary, commercial? And if it is, let's say, a commercial, how does it, like, what kind of commercial is it? Is it bright and happy? Is it soft and bright at the same time? Is it dark and moody? And why do you want it to be dark and moody? Does it need to be dramatic? So do you see, like, there are many variables and you get to the answer when you answer them for yourself, for your video. So you always want to ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve? Like, because you can have an image, like, do you understand that you can have an image basically look 10 different ways and it can still look good? It's like, I can have a favorite color. Maybe I like red and maybe you like green or yellow. Now, would that make yellow and green a better color compared to red just because you like it? No, fuck no. So color grading is so subjective, but at the same time, you need to ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve? Because our brain responds differently to different stimuli. So if you have an image that looks dark and moody and has a lot of blue, we're going to assume, oh shit, there's danger, something mysterious, thriller, horror movie. We're going to think that. If you have it bright, colorful, cheerful, we're going to think cheerful. So you need to ask yourself, so there's no right or wrong. This is to say that there's no right or wrong with exposure. It's just that you need to ask yourself, what am I actually trying to achieve? Like, do I want the image to be bright? Do I want the image to be darker? And why do I want that? So that's how you understand if for you, you're doing a good thing. Don't ever worry about the people that say max out your scopes. This is another like fucking false advice. So you might have seen some people talk about scopes. I have a full module in my Color Kings Academy dedicated to just understanding scopes. Again, top link, go apply right now if you actually want to fucking learn everything in DaVinci right fucking now. You get instant access to everything. People might have told you that you want to max out your scopes. That is a fucking lie. Again, do not trust what people say because people repeat the same bad advice. They have been repeating the same bad advice for years now. Maxing out your scopes, what does it mean? It means max out your contrast, your available contrast without, losing too much detail. But I'm going to ask you a question. What if I wanted my image to look like this? Look at this. And now we have a lot of crushed detail. I don't know, maybe you want something to look like this. Or what if I want a very soft contrast? Look at this. What if I want this? Is there anything wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. What's wrong with having a softer image? So am I less of a colorist because this doesn't extend to the top and this to the bottom? No. That is, again, false advice. Because as I just told you, like I have given you like the golden key to unlock everything. You need to ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve? Like every decision that we make is essentially based on that. Do you understand how deep the rabbit hole goes? Everything is based on that unique decision. That's why my color grading is so powerful. because I can always understand an answer to that single decision, to that single question. So do not ever max out your scopes. I mean, no, fuck. You can max out your scopes, but you've got to have a reason to do so, okay? If you're not ready to, go check out the top link in the description. I have other guides on this channel where I really just show you other looks, and I tell you, hey, in this case, you don't need to max out your scopes. Now we want a soft look. Now we want a heavy contrast heavy look. Okay, go watch them if you're just curious about what you can achieve and how different looks can be crafted. Again, for the full program, step by step, just top link in the description. So the way I handle contrast, as I told you, I never worry about maxing out my scopes. You use scopes, just understand what your image is doing, but that's for another lesson. I won't go too deep into that because this video will be like fucking 3 hours long. So what you do is this. To get a good looking contrast, okay, to dial in with your contrast, you can use now your primary color wheels, okay? You can use lift, gamma, gain. Now these tools, they essentially handle shadows, midtone, and highlights. But if you come from Premiere or Lightroom or whatever, you probably have noticed that when you drag gain, it's not just the highlights that are getting like brighter or darker. It's the whole image. Why is that? See, the people that made DaVinci Resolve, they're very smart actually. They know that when we work with video, we don't have a lot of detail. Do you remember that? It's different from pictures because pictures you shoot raw. Right now we have log, 8-bit, 10-bit, it doesn't have that much detail. So what happens when you try to have narrow tools that affect just the highlights as you imagine them to be? Well, what happens is that you break your footage. I'm going to give you a practical example. So I can switch this to more narrow tools. I'm going to explain everything in a second. Just stick with me. I'm going to give you an example. So this affects my highlights. You can see that I'm just affecting my sky and this right here because it's very bright. I can also say, hey, I want my highlights to be like this. Now, watch what happens. Watch how unnatural the image starts to look when I just affect a specific part of my highlights. And this is still normal looking. I want to explain this with another thing. With the shadows are going to be even worse. So if I go right here and I see my shadows. Now, I'm just affecting the darkest part of my shadows. Like look at this here. Look at the transition. So if I change my range and I go really heavy, look at how weird this starts to look. You see how like, it kind of gets heavy, like we have noise and color that wasn't even there before. Now this is good footage. This is shot on a great camera. This is a Sony FX6. So this is cinema line from Sony. So this is not going to be easy to break. But what I want you to pay attention is the fact that when we work with narrow tools, it becomes easier to destroy your footage. So especially you that are a beginner, I want you to work with the basics. And this is what I do. Like, don't think that these tools are not good. Like, these are the same tools that I use for every fucking grade. So what I do is this. I use lift, gamma, gain. I try to push and pull each one of them. And I don't really do this. So I say to beginners, always play with your image in the sense that try to drag them across and see what you like. And after while you see that, you kind of land somewhere where you say, oh, I actually like this. Okay. So you usually start with big adjustments and then you slow down until you like it. Okay. Now, when I use these tools, what am I looking at? Like, how do you decide if your contrast is good? So when I usually handle my lift, I'm looking at the way my blacks and my shadows look, of course. So yeah, the lift is going to make everything dark at some point, but before that happens, I want you to focus on the darkest parts. So right now I'm focusing on this because I know that this is in the shade. You see how this is kind of darker than this. So of course my lift is going to affect this before it affects anything else. So what I do is I look at this to see how dark it's going to get. Do you see how smart this workflow is? You affect one thing and you see how it affects the part that it is trying to target. Now, we know that this has made everything else dark. So you go with another tool and you do counterbalancing, okay? So you try to use basically these three knobs in unison with one another until you get your desired look. So let's say that lift brought down too much of my image. And now everything is looking too dark. Well, we can use gamma or gain to change that, to counteract that. I usually use gamma. Gamma affects the midtones without affecting too much of the sky. So I always do this. And now, as you can see, we have a comparable sky. Look at my scope. So this is the sky. These three layers that you see, these are my sky. As you can see, when I enable the contrast node, we have the shadows that get heavier. They are lower right now. But the sky stays comparatively close. If you actually want to match it, you can have the gain come up just a little bit. Do you see how it's almost the same? Yeah, I mean, the contrast ratio of everything is changing. That's why you see this part go down. But other than that, the sky stays very similar, but we have changed everything else about it. So this is how I handle my contrast. This is an easy way. Don't stress about anything else. Just do exactly as I say and you'll get a professional looking image. Now, for this specific case scenario, like me personally, I would not crush this much. So I would go like this. Now, I'll give you another gold gem. Beware of the people that have this thing in different nodes. What do I mean by that? You'll see on YouTube sometimes if you keep, I don't recommend you keep watching YouTube tutorials. Just watch this channel because I know it sounds so silly. It sounds like a lie, but I can assure you nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. Please take it from somebody like me. I literally lost clients because of this. Because I thought I was getting the right techniques and instead I was just destroying my footage. Please trust me. So you'll see some people on YouTube, they have probably already taught you if you've watched some color grading tutorial to do this. So you have your contrast node, then they do something, then they have a node and they do. What the fuck is this? Well, this is an S-curve. First, they don't explain why they use it because they don't know it themselves. Do you know what this does? This is essentially adding more contrast. This is the same thing as going right here on your contrast node and upping contrast this way. As you can see, everything right here gets stretched and the image gets more punchy. So, should you do that? Should you not do that? No, you shouldn't do that. Short answer, no, don't do that. I don't like this one bit. Like using the curves, I use them. I have specific like top level techniques that I teach in my school, but do not ever use it as you've seen people do it. It's not necessary. Just stick to lift, gamma, gain. And it doesn't make fucking sense because these people also do that in different nodes. Now, there can be reasons to do that, but they're more like advanced workflows that I teach in the school. This is not one of them. This is not one of those scenarios and you're not at that level yet. So don't even worry about this. Everybody that goes contrast right here and they handle their contrast and then they start to do, I don't know, they bring their lift down right here. And then right here, they also go with the curves like this. They do not know what they are doing because they are essentially changing the same thing in 3 different nodes for no fucking reason. So do not listen to that. And I don't like people that adjust their contrast with contrast and pivot. I don't like it. I like to be in control of what is happening to my image. I have found myself using contrast and pivot very few times. I would say don't even waste your time with it. Learn how to use lift, gamma, gain and actually craft your looks like a color king. Right now, I'm training you like a captain trains a soldier to be a color king. Because most people on YouTube, if you listen to their advice, they're not going to explain to you why we do the things that we do. So you're never going to become good at actually color grading. You might know how to use DaVinci Resolve, but you're never going to have good looking images because you don't know what the fuck you're doing and why you're doing it. So most people essentially train you to be a preset pirate. Why? Because they teach you to do as they say without explaining why they do so, and you just copy them. So you become a preset pirate. You're pirating their presets. Or they tell you to just stick, just get a LUT going. Like they usually, do you know what they tell you? So they tell you, have a LUT. Let's say that we have these are not the type of LUTs that they tell you to apply, but they give you a LUT. And they tell you if you don't like it, just go back on it. Like this. As if it makes fucking sense. I don't like that advice. And I don't like using LUTs. LUTs are going to hold you back a ton. Please, my man, listen to my voice. Look at me like you're a big brother. Listen to me. LUTs, don't use them. They're going to cause you more harm than good in the long term. Even though you might have a LUT that looks good, trust me, I coach students all the time. They all have problems. Like LUTs always give you problems. Like in the long run, you become worse at color grading because you use LUTs. Okay, so listen to me. Do you see how my approach is very decision oriented? Because we actually understand what we are doing. This makes us, guess what? Color kings. Okay, we have a strategy. We know what we are doing right now and what we want our footage to look like. We are not walking in the dark like these fucking fake gurus teach you. That's not what we're doing. We're doing actual color grading and we're making decisions. That's why people pay us. Do you think that if color grading was that simple, just apply a LUT, people would pay me? No, the opposite is true. People apply a LUT and then say, oh, this looks trash. And then they pay me. And they, please Giuseppe, come and save my footage. That's what happens. Bro, please fucking trust me. Please trust me, bro. I'm the only person that's actually explaining real color grading to you. Please fucking trust me. So, after your contrast, what you want to do is this. we have handled very briefly our light section, okay? So we have decided how bright we want things to look. So we have decided in very broad terms exposure, and then we have decided in more narrow terms, because we handle like specific parts of the image, our contrast. This is it. What we do now will determine exactly what colors will end up being in our image. Now, most people, when they get to this point, do you know what they do? They add what we call a color cast. Adding a color cast looks like this. This is a color cast, and it is a pretty bad one as well. You don't want to be one of those guys. Most people, do you know what they say? Okay, let's go back to the people that teach you how to be a preset pirate. Most people on YouTube, for some fucking reason, at the end of every note tree, do exactly this. They go right here with their gain, and right here with their lift. Or they do more and more and whatever. And they do this because they rely on this method as a crutch, as a one-trick pony, as something that they can always do to add some more color to the image no matter what. But that's not what I want you to do. So the first thing that we do is we ask ourselves, do we like our image's white balance? I don't know, is it too warm, too cold, too magenta, too green? And we make a new node. But we make it not after the contrast, follow me, we make it before exposure. I always go like this, so I always handle exposure and contrast first, and after I handle these two, I have something before them. So the order in which I do things in, it's always this, the one that I've showed to you, but now we're gonna have a node before. It doesn't matter if you did one or the other. Okay, I prefer to go this way, just for a mental workflow, like I handle light, then I handle color. So, we hit Shift S, and Shift S makes a serial node before. We call this WB. WB stands for white balance. Now, if you want a white balance on DaVinci, you have these temp and tint, as you can see, but these don't work that well. We need something kind of like our exposure that changes the image in the same way it would change if you affected your camera's white balance. Stick with me. There's a very simple method. Again, I explained this deeply in my Color Kings Academy. But the method we use is this. So we go right here, and you're not going to see this very well. Just follow me. I'll give you the instructions. You essentially right-click on this node, and bottom part is going to appear, it says gamma. You go right there, and you select the one on the top, which is called linear. Now we have a node in linear gamma. Now you come right here, you select Luma Mix, and you go all the way down. And now, whatever you do with your gain is going to behave just as if you were changing your camera's white balance. This is the best method, the single best method I can give you right now, the most professional way to change white balance. Don't ever listen to people that tell you offset. Don't listen to people that tell you lift, gamma, gain. Don't listen to these people, bro. Just stick with me. Do what I've told you, and now we have a great way to change white balance. See how natural this looks? You don't need to do this, okay? It's not this. So I'll give you like a gold gem right now. So if it sounds like, if you don't know what to do with your image, you're like, okay, Giuseppe, but how do I really adjust white balance? Like, I don't know in which direction to go, right? You look at your image and you decide, is it too cold, too warm? Does it have, I don't know, too much blue since it's too cold? If you decide that that's the issue, you essentially, do you see these three colors right here? Red, green, blue. You subtract the one you don't want in your image. So let's say that I see so much blue. Okay, I go right here, I press, I hold it, and I go back on it. And we start subtracting blue. But now we have a little too much green in the image. What if I want to get rid of it? Well, now we go and we subtract green. Now again blue. And now again green. Until I have what to me looks like a balanced white right here. I'm looking at this part of the image, but you can also refer other parts. Maybe you want to use white balance not to correct what is not correct, like what is not proper. Maybe you want to use white balance creatively. Maybe you want a colder image. Well, what do we do then? You can really just go here. Boom. We've got a colder image. How easy was that? Don't use fucking lift, gamma, gain like they told you. No, do this. I give you permission to trash that information and to just follow this advice. Do you see how beautiful it looks? It's so natural. Why? Because I've told you the best. This is it, bro. This is fucking it. This is the best way to achieve this result right here, right now, fast and easy. Come on, man, drop a like right now. So, as you can see, like we can go in whatever direction we want to go. Look at how beautiful this can start to look. How this can start to look blue, but we still have some orange right here. It looks so natural. I love the way this looks. So I always use it. I always use this. So a lot of people, they're going to teach you to use white balance just to correct things for color correction purposes. Right here, we're doing look design. This means that we're applying, like we're doing creative choices right here. So use the white balance accordingly. Who gives a fuck if it's not right? I want my image to look cold, to look fucking cold and lifeless. Do that. You have my permission. Now, what else do we do? So if we want to keep handling our saturation, if we're not happy with the way the image looks, if we want to give it some more color, some more blah, 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 we make a parallel node right here. So you select contrast and we need to split the signal. Do you remember at the beginning I told you that? We need to split the signal because I don't want you to have a node right here, because if we change whatever happens in these two nodes, you're going to change what happens in this one. So I don't want this node to depend on these two, okay? So we make a parallel node, but there's a problem. What's the problem? So if you paid attention before, you'll see that now we have the signal from the exposure. But I've just told you, I don't want my signal to change if I change contrast or exposure. So what do? We disconnect this. You can actually, like, you can connect things where you want them to go. We disconnect this. And now this node isn't working. This is not getting anything. As you can see, nothing happens if I change this. So we grab this from the white balance. It creates a new signal. So it duplicates the signal and we have it come right here. Now we are getting signal from the white balance. So the only signal this answers to is the white balance. You can go a step further. You can have it from the CST, but I don't usually do that. I usually connect it to my white balance. There's cases where you might want that. I usually just leave it to the white balance. Okay, no worries. So what do we do in this node? Now you can handle saturation, overall saturation in two ways. You can have broad adjustments or targeted adjustments. Right here, we're going to have targeted adjustments. I call this node, I always call it HSL. Almost every workflow that I follow has this node. It's very useful. Always have it. Okay, no questions asked. Again, like I don't want you to, you can copy this node for node, but you can also change things. Like you could have the HSL right here for a specific reason. So for your grade, you might want things to go after your contrast node. So a lot of the times color grading is just problem solving. Okay, you want a workflow that works the best for what you're trying to achieve. I know that for most projects, this will be fucking enough. Okay, don't worry. So in this node, we're going to go right here. You click on this button and this opens up the curves tool. And we don't go on these ones, the one they show you on YouTube. No, we go on 1, 2, and 3. There's also 4, 5, 6. We're going to worry about these 3 right here. Basically, what they allow us to do is we can attack whatever color we want and we can change the way it looks, both in hue, saturation, and luminance. That's why we call it HSL, hue, saturation, luminance. So what color it is to begin with, how saturated it is, and how bright it is. So let's have an example. I can come here and I can say, okay, I like that the image is getting colder, but this orange right here, it's too strong. If I make a node right here for overall saturation, I call it SAT, which is something that I usually do. So you can literally do this. Okay, you can do this. I usually have it like this. If I have this node and I bring my saturation down, well, now I'm losing the blue that I had here. I don't like it. It's just lifeless, right? So what do? We come here to the HSL and we go in hue versus SAT because we want to say, DaVinci, pick this color and change how saturated it is. Now, to use this tool, you can literally click this, and as you can see, it starts to do things. Right now, I have a single point, so we're just adding saturation to the whole image. You gotta add multiple points. But as you can see, it's a bit clumsy of a system, like if you just click and drag. And if you do narrow adjustments, it's not gonna serve you well because you're gonna break your footage. Remember, we talked about narrow adjustments. So you wanna be targeted, but not too much, basically. So we instead select these pre-made color picker tools, whatever they are, and we select one of them. In this case, I know that this color is mostly red. Okay, it's orange type of red, like it's close to red. So you can see like we have some color information right here. So I know that if we just pick this one, it's gonna pick up almost all that color and it's good enough, okay? So the way I usually go on about it is I don't drag this. I don't like to do that. It's very, it's too much. I like to be more precise. I usually go right here, saturation, where we have this slider, and I make it go up or down, and then we can decide. So what I want for this image is a little less punch, see? A little less punch while we still retain some of that color. Now, I am really deciding something. Do you see how I like this color, but this is still too much? You're gonna be like, Giuseppe, what do I do? Well, I'll give you a high-level tip. For most of your images, what I've just showed is going to work, okay? Don't worry. But If you stayed in this video for this long, I want to reward you because you know that I give straight value. So here's your reward. You might find yourself not able to have DaVinci distinguish between two colors. Maybe you want to keep what's right here and you want to lose what's right here. How do you do that? Well, by selecting the color, since they're almost the same color in hue, you lose both right now. Okay, and we lose also this. Now the image just looks boring. So how do we deal with this? What you do is that you change tool. You need to tell DaVinci, hey DaVinci, I don't actually want you to worry about this color. Just desaturate what is high in saturation already. In one way, there's a lot of different ways. Again, top link in the description. If you really want to go fucking deep and end your color grading confusion once and for all, just go check it out, bro. If you're this deep into the video, you have great chances of becoming like my greatest student ever. Go check it out. So the way you do that is you go right here on this tool right here. This is called sat versus sat. It is essentially the same thing, but we don't target specific colors. We target specific amounts of saturation. So what is down has low saturation, as you can see, and what is up has a lot of saturation. So if I have my curve like this, so here I usually use my mouse. So if we have it come down like this, the first things that get desaturated are the ones that have a lot of color. You can see that this is losing more saturation than this. If I want to protect this more, I can just have another point right here and protect this, while we change what's happening to this right here. See how this is protected, but this is not? This way, we can change our saturation. We have so many tools to target saturation in different ways. And we use them. Why do we have so many tools? Like we started the video by asking ourselves, why is DaVinci so complex? Because as you see, we have different ways to address the same issue. And each way allows us to address it from a different angle until we find what works for our footage. That's why you need to follow somebody like me that actually teaches you, hey, you want to use this in this scenario, and you want to think how to use this in this other scenario. That's what's going to set you apart, and that's how you become good at color grading, because you know what you're trying to do. I want to make my image cold because this, and this reason, because my video's purpose is X. And to get the image to become cold, Giuseppe has taught me that I can go white balance, then HSL, we work on saturation. I decide how much color contrast I want to have in the image. So color contrast is basically warm color against cool color. Okay, that's it, very briefly. I decide how much of that I want. I may want more color contrast. Now that we have handled this, I may go actually in a new serial node. This is high level advanced stuff. I'm going to go very briefly just to show you what's possible. I can go in a new node. I can call this just orange. I can call it whatever. And I can go right here. Now that we have equalized the amount of saturation that these two have, as you can see, like look at the difference, right? Now that they are more similar, I can go and boost both so that both are just a little like a little more colorful. Or I can do something else. I can actually, like, I'm deciding that I don't actually want to boost both. So I'm going to delete this one. I actually just want this to be a little more colorful. How do we target it? Well, maybe I can target the lowest saturated parts in my image and have them come up, as you can see. Yeah, see how that comes up? Also, the blue is coming up as well. So we can literally shape saturation how we want it. Now, what if after all of this, we like it, but we're like, I just would like the image to be a little less saturated. So I like all of it, but the image is too much. Well, right here, we make the sat node that I made before. How do we address saturation? You have this slider right here, but I don't like it that much. The best way to handle your saturation is this one. You need to right click this. So I will narrate what I'm doing. You're not going to be able to see the thing open up on my screen. Just do it on your DaVinci. It's very fucking simple. You right click. You go when it says color space on the bottom. When it says color space, in the middle, it's going to open like a lot of color spaces. You need to find, it's in the middle. It's very easy. Don't worry. You need to find HSV. After you've done that, you click it. Nothing's going to happen. You right click the node again, and we go on channels. So under color space, under gamma, you go on channels and you disable, you click channel 1, then you right click channels again, and you disable also channel 3 so that only channel 2 is left. When you do this, the node is going to behave like in a different mode. Okay, we have enabled like extra tools that we didn't have before. What you do now, you use lift gamma gain to handle your saturation. So it's like handling contrast, but for color. It's beautiful. So the gain now addresses the most saturated parts of your image. If I go up, as you can see, the image blows up. If I get this lower, we desaturate the image. Gamma does the same thing, but it addresses like the midtones of our color. So The middle parts that have like a reasonable amount of saturation. So as with before, lift, gamma, gain, they're very broad. So they affect a bit of everything. So eventually, if you get gamma low enough, you're going to have, apart from weird artifacts, you're going to reach what is almost a desaturated image. So the tools are very broad anyways, but you can use them to shape your saturation. Let's say that you want to reduce saturation just in the areas that already have a little lower of a saturation threshold, okay? So let's say that you go down on your gamma, but now you lost too much saturation and everything else. Well, then now you come up in your gain. Maybe you give just a little. Lift is a little weird. I'm going to show you. So if you uplift, it becomes weird like very fast. So lift very subtle. We give it just a little bit of lift, and then we have some other color with gamma or gain come in. And you decide, you craft your saturation this way. This is beautiful. Now, if at this point you still want to add some more color, you want to add a color cast like we saw in the beginning, you have two ways, actually three. You can add a color cast right here after saturation. And this, I usually call this node tint. This is the node where we do this, let's say. So the split toning technique. If you want to do this, I can have it after our saturation so that whatever we do here, it behaves freely. So adding a color cast almost doesn't change based on whatever we did here. If you want the color cast to not be affected by the saturation after it, you have it right here. You can have the color cast also come with the HSL. You have the color cast right here, and you do things right here. It behaves almost the same, but now whatever we do also gets affected by the saturation node after it. There might be a reason why you want to do that. Okay, I won't go into too much detail right now because the video is already fucking long, but there's a reason why you can do that. Again, if you want to go deep, top link in the description. If you're investing this much time, bro, why not go real fucking deep, right? Give even more value. So, you can also have saturation, the color cast come like this in a parallel fashion with HSL. Again, it depends. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. It can also come like this. You have a parallel node here. I've done it. There's a video. It's called like 2 hours of pro color grading where I have a node tree that looks similar to this one. It's fucking weird, bro. Nobody shows this to you, but you can use it. There's reasons why you might want to do this. And the beautiful thing is that we get a very professional looking image without actually having that many nodes. How many nodes are these? These are 10 nodes, 8 if you don't consider the CSTs. It's just the order that it's very intelligent. It's like 200 IQ node, it's a 200 IQ node tree. But that's the only complex thing about it. If you actually understand parallel node trees and you understand why you might want to make a decision such as this, you're golden, bro. There's nothing complex about this. So what I do, so very simply, if you're not sure of what you want to do, just have it at the end if you don't want it to be affected by saturation, or have it right here after HSL with a serial node. Okay, so just Alt S and you create this. Because if you do this and let's say you drag up your saturation, as you can see, all the color cast gets pushed. If you do it right here and you drag your saturation, it's not the color cast that gets pushed, it's what was before the color cast. So this changes. That's why I told you gotta know how to leverage node trees. That's one of the best things you can do. And if you want to go and deep dive about it, you can go check the top link in the description right now. Before we end, I want to give you a last gem because you stayed until the end. So congrats to you. I really respect people that learn this much. I love giving value. So some people may have talked to you about grain and glow and also halation. Don't use them. No, stay away. Glow, for the most part, sucks. I teach how to use glow in my Color Kings Academy. There's better ways than what they've shown to you. Usually people go like this. They create node, they have the glow plugin. They go like here. They have it like this. They use it soft light. They go back. This will ruin your image. Because when I first started learning about this can look good, but you gotta know how to use it. Again, I talk about it in the academy. The way people teach it to you, you're going to use it as a crutch for every clip because nobody explains when and why to use it. So what you end up doing is you end up using it anyways because it's the secret sauce. Like it actually does something. So you're going to ruin a lot of clips if you use glow. So I give you permission to put this in the bin, in the trash bin. Okay, don't use glow. Don't worry about it. This is complete. Not everything has to have glow. Same thing goes for halation. Too much halation, bro. Like if you want to have vintage stuff, I'll have some guides about it. or you can just join the school again. But you can have some halation, but film doesn't actually have that much halation, right? I don't recommend you use a ton of halation. I don't recommend you use it at all. Grain, you can use it, but under very specific circumstances. Again, go check out some of my other guides, because I talk about grain over there. Or if you just want to go all in, check out the top link in the description. Again, thank you for staying up until this point. You might as well give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, since you get a lot of value from this. I hope to catch you in another video soon. All right. God bless you.